They're going for juror anger. Everything they do on their trial strategy is meant to get a jury angry because angry humans can go to these nuclear numbers, these astronomical numbers. We are the solution to nuclear verdicts. If we change our presentation of a case to a jury, then they don't become angry. They never reach that nuclear verdict. And if we can start changing these cases, we are going to change the trajectory of the viability of the insurance industry just because each of us choose to take a different approach in these cases.
That's Cayce Lynch, National Managing Partner at Tyson Mendes and co-author of Nuclear Verdicts, The Apex, Break the Pattern. And this is the future of insurance. Cayce, thank you for taking some time to sit down and share a little bit about what's going on your end, which is Nuclear Verdicts, The Apex, Break the Pattern, your new book that's coming out. Can you tell us quickly who you are? And then I want to learn more about this book.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Brian. I'm very excited to be with you today. Thanks for sharing your platform with us on this really important issue. I know it's something you're really excited about and passionate about, and so excited to bring this topic to your listeners. My name is Cayce Lynch. I'm the National Managing Partner at Tyson Mendes. We are a insurance defense law firm. We are a nationwide law firm, and we're a trial law firm. So I think of our many partners, we have someone in trial in some courtroom in the country probably every day of the year. Wow. And we specialize in stopping nuclear verdicts where they happen, which is in the courtroom. It's been really cool watching what's happening across the country in this space with nuclear verdicts, particularly over the last 10, 15 years. And we've now written a second book about the topic.
Yes, you've definitely focused on the topic over time. I'm not sure I would ever have called it really cool.
It is really cool. Well, yeah, I'm a lawyer, so I'm a nerd, and
No,
I
fair
think
enough.
these things are very cool.
But Cayce, I'm curious, like, so this isn't the first book that you put out on the topic. Um, why is there a need for another book, or like have things changed? Is this moment different that we need to be focusing on this differently?
Oh, excellent question. So Bob Tyson wrote the first book on the topic, and actually the only playbook for the defense when it comes to nuclear verdicts so far. That was called Nuclear Verdicts, Defending Justice for All, and that came out right at the start of 2020. So here we are 5 years later. Why book number two? So first of all, nuclear verdicts are increasing in frequency and severity across almost every single state in the country over the last 5 years. Our clients read book number one, so insurance carriers, our partners in the space, other defense lawyers read book number one and said things like, "Well, great, Bob. This is your trial experience and your law firm's trial experience, but where's the data to back this up?" So we went and found the data over the last 3 years, and how we did it was quite a manual process, to be honest. We get the question a lot, well, did AI help you write this book? No, AI did not help us write this book. So humans found the trial transcripts. We did the research and the digging, and we found trial transcripts from 100 nuclear verdicts across the country over the last 10 years. And we read them. We tracked over 60 data points on every single case to look at what is happening on the battleground, on ground zero, where these nuclear verdicts are awarded, and that's in the courtroom. So what is the plaintiff's attorney doing? How is the defense attorney responding? What's actually happening here that drives a jury towards this nuclear award? And now that we've done the research and we've tracked it, we can answer it.
So the first one was not theoretical, but is sort of like based on experience and knowledge. This is what's going on, and I get the challenge. I imagine the ideas probably didn't change all that much because Bob and the practice more broadly was on the right track. But now you found validation and a lot more evidence behind it. Is that kind of capturing it correctly?
Ding, ding, ding. Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Um, now I get why from your shoes, why you'd be like, it's really cool because like as much work as that all was, it was probably really fascinating. The stories, the interactions, it is really, really interesting stuff. And especially if it's in your area of focus, and also probably really triggering at some times too, I would imagine. Um, where, when you looked at all of this across all of these stories, it's it's almost hard to imagine like patterns would come out, but they must have. And so did you find that there's sort of like some salient ideas or takeaways or actions that we should be thinking about to change the narrative?
Yes. So we're looking at two things that have changed for the plaintiff's bar in the last really 20 years now.
Hmm.
And the two things are, your listeners may know. The first is that they're going for juror anger. Everything they do on their trial strategy is meant to get a jury angry at
Yeah.
something the defense did or didn't do, because angry humans, angry individuals can go to these nuclear numbers, these astronomical numbers. When they're not angry, they're much more likely to come to a reasonable jury award, right?
Yeah.
And that doesn't. Oh man, I don't know how. Are we in a safe place here? When a jury comes to a reasonable jury award, that doesn't fund the plaintiff's bar's lavish
Yeah.
lifestyles. So, the better the plaintiff does in the case, the more the plaintiff's attorney makes as part of the contingency fee. So they're
Sure.
very motivated to go for big numbers. So
Even
the
if
way
it's
they,
subconscious, like even
yes.
if like you want to say, okay, you're not doing this intentionally, it's human nature. You pay for you get the outcome you pay for.
Yes, exactly. And so in it to get a jury towards a big number, right? First is they go for anger, and the second is that they talk about money. So
Yeah.
20 years ago, the general philosophy was, we don't want to talk to jurors about money. That's distasteful. It might offend them. They'll come to the numbers on their own. But
Yeah.
actually, the plaintiff's bar has studied human psychology and realized that humans don't get to these big numbers. Our everyday neighbors don't come in and think that $50 million is going to be the fair and reasonable award at the end of the day unless they're primed to get to that big number. So they tap into the psychological phenomenon of anchoring,
Yeah.
and that those two things, anger plus anchoring, really equals a nuclear verdict. So when we look at the data of what they're doing and how they're getting there to anger, what we're seeing is in response to that, the defense in large is failing to diffuse juror anger when it
Yeah.
comes to awarding a nuclear verdict. And we have the solution. So we have a method and an approach to our cases that we call the apex. And the apex is a holistic approach to a case that the defense needs to use from day one, right? From the day the demand comes in, from the day the case is assigned to either the claims professional or the defense lawyer, we can engage this method. And it's based in reasonableness, it's based in being a good human. And our approach to the case is aimed at the goal, the apex of diffusing juror anger. There are four ways in the apex that we diffuse that anger. We call them the core four. And we're finding, I'm happy to share some specific data with you if
Yeah.
you like, but we're finding that in the vast majority of nuclear verdicts, the defense is not engaging in any of these four approaches.
Yeah.
And we did not find one nuclear verdict in our research where the defense used all four.
Wow. Um, I'm not surprised in the slightest, having seen lots of claims in my career and the way they go and the number of times you're left feeling like, did we even try? And the thing is, I know we are, it's not for lack of effort, but we don't have the kind of the sophistication and coordination of tools that, as you said, like Plaintiff's Bar has done the research and studied the psychology of it. They've actually put in the work to get to where they are, and we haven't really evolved what we're doing
Yeah,
in
that's so
response.
true. What we're finding among the data points, we looked at who's the trial lawyer. And what we're finding is that nuclear verdicts aren't happening to brand new defense lawyers. And we know they're not happening to brand new claims professionals.
Yeah.
They're happening to people who are very, very experienced and the best in the field. But what we're seeing is the plaintiff's bar has completely changed the way they try lawsuits.
Yeah.
And the defense bar is still doing the things we were doing 20 years ago, and they're just not effective anymore. So, I, as a takeaway for your listeners, one thing that I'd love them to take away from this conversation, and hopefully they read the book and take away from the book, but it's actually a message of hope, is that while things are getting worse, the trajectory is certainly not improving yet.
Yeah.
We don't have to wait as a claims organization. as a defense attorney, we don't have to wait for the legislature to institute tort reform or to institute third-party litigation funding disclosure requirements in the cases or to curb the plaintiff's bar's ability to advertise and get cases.
Yeah.
We are the ones who controls what happens at ground zero, what happens in the courtroom, and we are the solution to nuclear verdicts. If we change our approach, if we change our presentation of a case to a jury, then they don't become angry. They don't fall prey to the plaintiff's bar's tactics. They never reach that nuclear verdict. And if we can start changing these cases on a one-on-one basis, in the grand scheme of things, we are going to change the trajectory of the viability of the insurance industry, let's
Yeah.
say. Just
Yeah.
this huge, huge, wonderful result can come with it just because each of us choose to take a different approach in these cases.
Yeah. That's really well put. And it is easy to get caught up in the kind of negative news cycle about how bad it is and to feel hopeless. And to be fair, that's the way we're trained in every other part of our life. It is what media makes money. It's not just plaintiff's bar. Media makes money this way.
Right.
Politicians rise to and retain their power through getting you worked up and feeling wronged and like you have to bite back. I mean, this is a global phenomenon. I think it's really interesting that for anyone who's like, well, I can't try that, or it wouldn't work, or it's too hard, or whatever, ask yourself, you're a claims professional, if you could stop that hurricane from hitting your insureds and foregoing all of those claims, wouldn't you do that? And I think the answer is like, yeah, of course. If we could just like not have that hurricane, done. So why wouldn't you go to trial with effectively the same kind of thing as what if I could stop the hurricane of this? I mean, you said $50 million. Maybe that doesn't sound like a lot with some of the numbers that are thrown around these days, but for one carrier, $50 million is probably similar to a lot of what would happen in a major windstorm kind of thing. You know, obviously a gigantic national
Yes.
carrier is going to be
Yes.
significantly more, but lots of carriers out there, 50, 100 million. It's not hard to imagine a hurricane coming through and causing that much of a loss for them. Well, here's one case can do that. So why wouldn't you try to stop that by, putting up some barriers to stop the storm from washing everything away in the first place?
That's such a great analogy, Brian. That's the first time I've heard that one, and I love it. It really resonates. Like we have the power, we have the choice,
Yeah.
and we can choose to take a different approach, and it's going to be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Well, good. Like being uncomfortable is where the change happens.
Yeah. All right, I got one other thing that's just hitting me, but if the last one was lightning, no pun intended, then
Oh boy,
this
here
one
we
too.
go.
As an industry, we talk a lot about predict and prevent and not just, paying for it, repairing, restoring. We tend to think about that as a physical question. So, stopping the car from getting in the accident versus repairing the car, replacing it, stopping the hail from ripping the roof apart with a better roof design and better materials instead of just buying a new roof every year. Well, here's a bit of predict and prevent, isn't it? It's just on the liability side or in the legal realm instead of the physical realm. We keep talking about in the physical realm, we're not making a ton of progress. Here's one where actually, without having to like send out free IoT devices to all of our insureds and plumbers to install water shutoff valves or anything, just employing a different strategy for the next case doesn't even have to go to trial. You shouldn't go to trial if you can interject correctly. But take it, like you said, from the moment that file's open and assigned, we can do things differently and affect change. That's the equivalent of predict and prevent in this area, isn't it?
It is absolutely, and a part of it is from a defense attorney's perspective, just looking at a singular claim in front of me, I almost have to detect this as a potential nuclear verdict, right?
Yeah.
Because it hits every business line, almost anything with a physical injury or an element of emotional distress could be a nuclear verdict. So
Yeah.
I have to treat it as such. And I have the same prevention tools at every phase of the claim, all the way up to trial. And obviously, the earlier you implement this approach, the better results you're going to get. But even if you're parachuted in right before trial, defense lawyers, these
Yeah.
are things that you can pick up from day one and prepare for 6 weeks before trial and still be able to implement with a jury. Just along the lines, I would be remiss, Brian, if I didn't say along the lines of predict and prevent that There are actually tech solutions out there leveraging AI for claims
Yeah.
portfolios that I know work to detect and prevent for leadership and for individual claims professionals, those claims that are the most likely to go nuclear. And it's not just based on a human, obviously looking at 60 data points across a case. I know there's generative AI that has digested millions of data points across
Yeah.
claims to come up with the right algorithm. And so highly recommend that claims leaders look into those kind of solutions as well as I mean, why would you not take every tool you possibly have available for you at this point?
Yeah. Lots of points of hope out there for something that feels
Yeah.
really grim. So thank you for that. Casey, when is the book coming out?
October 22nd is our launch. Early September, you will find pre-sales, and I can't believe it's almost here. 3.5 years of working on this book. I
Wow.
worked on this book for longer than I went to law school. I
Okay.
realized
You could almost include going to law school in working on this book because you had to do that to be able to do the
it's
book. So you
true.
just start connecting all
Also
those
true.
dominoes.
My whole life has led to this point.
Yes. Yeah, very true. Well, congratulations on getting on the other side of the work to get it done. I know you're very close to launch. And I mean, honestly, I know there's a whole group of people behind this effort succeeding because we need it to. It is really, it's gone too far. And it seems like nothing we've done, if we've done anything, has worked yet. So I'm excited to see the real impact of the apex of the model coming in. So, so
Thank you.
nothing but success to you in the book and to Bob on getting this out there.
Thank you. Yes, we could not have done this without dozens of lawyers, particularly Ashley Page Fetco behind the scenes helping us get this across the finish line. So thank you so much to our whole team. And, we hope to do good with it. We really want to deliver that message of hope. And it's not theoretical hope anymore. It's a playbook backed by data. Can't wait
That's
to
great.
share it.
We need it. Thank you so much, Casey.
Thank you.